If your goal for food storage is, counted in years, not months, then you're really operating on a different level.
Oh, absolutely. It's almost an industrial mindset.
Right. You know that just dumping rice into a bucket isn't going to cut it. You're aiming for that gold standard combination, the thick Mylar bags paired with oxygen absorbers.
That combination really is an unbeatable preservation system,
Hmm.
especially for your dry staples, beans, pasta, wheat, dehydrated foods.
And when you get it right, I mean precisely right.
You're buying yourself decades.
Hmm.
The sources you share today, they go deep into the engineering of it all, the sizing charts, the science, and the critical steps you need to take to make sure your food actually lasts for, 5 to 25 years.
And that's our mission today. We're skipping the basics and diving straight into those granular details. We want you walking away knowing exactly how to pick the right size, that CC measurement, and how to handle those absorbers, which are so time sensitive.
Right.
Okay, let's unpack this.
We want to get this knowledge to you quickly, but, thoroughly. Because the whole system, its success, it really relies on understanding the difference between just using an oxygen absorber and using the right one in the right way
At the right time.
at the right time. It all has to line up.
So let's start with the science, but from a more advanced angle. We know these packets, your sources mentioned Oxysorb, for example, are called oxygen scavengers. They look so simple, but what's actually happening inside? And more importantly, how do we know it's safe?
Well, the science is, it's fascinating because it's so natural. These little sachets, they contain a mixture of just three main things: very fine iron powder, some salt, and activated carbon.
All inside a breathable pouch?
Exactly, a food-grade breathable pouch.
Okay, hold on. If the main ingredient is iron powder and it works by oxidation, which is essentially rusting, is there any risk of that metallic powder getting into the food?
That's a great question, and it's a crucial point. It all comes down to the quality of the sachet itself.
I s-
The high-quality FDA-approved packets are specifically engineered with a material that is permeable to gas, but it's completely non-porous to the powder inside.
So no leakage.
Zero. You're completely safe from any kind of contamination.
Good to know. So walk us through what happens once it's sealed in the bag.
Okay, so once it's exposed to the air inside that sealed Mylar bag, the iron powder starts to oxidize or rust very, very quickly.
And the salt.
The salt is just a catalyst. It speeds up that rusting process.
Yeah.
And the activated carbon, it acts as a stabilizer and helps mop up any other trace gases. But the main event is that oxidation process consuming the oxygen gas.
And the goal, as you mentioned, is to get the oxygen level down to an incredibly low level.
I mean, we're talking down to 0.01%. The sources call it a microbial knockout blow.
Wow.
Yeah. You've basically created an environment where mold, aerobic bacteria, and this is the big one dormant, insect eggs, cannot survive. They can't hatch.
So no weevils 10 years down the line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're left with this inert, nitrogen-rich atmosphere. It's
Yeah.
a perfect natural preservative.
And all of this is FDA approved, non-toxic, eco-friendly. You get this decades-long preservation without nitrogen flushing or any weird chemicals.
That's the real beauty of it. It's so effective, but it's completely natural.
Which brings us right to the technical core of this capacity. Someone staring at a big box of these packets needs to know what those numbers mean. Let's demystify the CC measurement.
Okay, so CC just stands for cubic centimeters. And this single number is, it's really the load-bearing metric for your whole system. It tells you the exact volume of oxygen that one packet is designed to absorb.
So a 100 cc packet absorbs 100 cubic centimeters of oxygen. Simple enough.
It is, but it means choosing the wrong size.
Guarantees failure down the road.
Absolutely. The size you need depends on the volume of your container. And, this is key, how much residual airspace is left inside.
So let's walk through the scale. What's practical for most people doing this at home?
Well, at the small end, you've got your 20 cc and 50 cc packets. Those are for like tiny sample packs or single serving pouches. Moving up, 100 cc is great for medium packages, a small jar of spices, maybe some dried fruit. But here's the key data point for most people doing home prep.
The standard size.
The standard size, the 200 cc oxygen absorber. The sources list this as the go-to, the utility player for most common home storage, like a 1 kilo bag of beans or flour.
And if you're going bigger, for bulk storage.
And then things scale up quickly. For larger containers, you're jumping to 500 cc. For gallon-sized Mylar bags, you're in the 1,000 cc to 1,500 cc range to handle all that extra air.
And the 3,000 cc.
That's really for commercial, massive-scale packaging. The big takeaway here is you can't guess your cc capacity. You have to know.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because the capacity you need isn't just about the container size, it's fundamentally about the type of food. We have to separate dense foods from lighter foods.
This is what separates, an amateur approach from a professional one.
Right.
Let me use an analogy. Imagine filling a glass jar with marbles. Now imagine filling that same jar with popcorn.
Okay, I see where you're going. The marbles leave very little airspace.
Exactly. While the popcorn leaves huge pockets of air all over the place.
A perfect analogy, so let's apply that. Dense foods are your marbles.
Your dense foods, rice, beans, wheat, flour, they pack together very tightly. They minimize that residual air so there's less oxygen to remove. It's just an easier job for the absorber.
So give us the numbers for those dense items. This is the data people need.
Okay, for 1 kilogram, that's about 2.2 pounds of a dense food. You need a 100 cc absorber.
Okay.
Scale that up. 5 kilos needs 500 cc. 10 kilos, you'll need 1,000 cc. And for those really common 2 to 5 kilo bags of rice or beans, you're safely in that 200 cc to 500 cc range.
And now for the popcorn items, the lighter foods. This is where people get tripped up.
Absolutely. We're talking spices, herbs, dehydrated veggies, even pasta. They're porous, light, and create so much more residual airspace.
So you need a bigger absorber, even for the same weight of food.
Much bigger. It can easily double your needs. So where 1 kilo of dense rice needed 100 cc,
That same 1 kilo of, say, dehydrated broccoli would need
200 cc. To account for all that extra air trapped in and around the food. The sources even note that for something like spices, which are super porous, even a small amount like 250 grams to a kilo still needs a 100 cc or 200 cc packet to get all the oxygen out.
So the principle is you size the absorber to the airspace, not the food's weight. That one insight is huge.
It is. And one more great tip from the sources for big bags over 5 kilos. Instead of one massive absorber, use 2 smaller ones.
Why is that?
It just ensures a more even and rapid oxygen removal across that larger volume.
Okay, let's pivot from calculation to execution. These things are time sensitive. They start working the second they hit the air.
It's a race against the clock.
So let's walk through the 7 essential steps the sources lay out.
Right. Step 1 is simple but critical. Only open the master pack for the number of absorbers you plan to use right now.
Okay, and step 2 is a little counterintuitive. You take them out and spread them on a tray for 15-20 minutes. Why?
That's the equalization time. It's vital. When they're in that master pack, they're vacuum sealed, compressed. Giving them that 15 minutes lets them breathe a little warm up. It basically primes the pump so they start working at peak efficiency the moment you seal them.
Okay, that makes sense. So while they're equalizing, we do step 3, fill the Mylar bags.
Correct. Fill them up, but leave 3 to 4 inches of headspace at the top. You need that space to get a good flat seal.
Step 4 is adding the absorber on top. Then step 5, pressing out the air. Why do that manually if the pack is going to do the work anyway?
Because you're reducing the burden on the absorber.
Yeah.
Every bit of air you squeeze out is less work the packet has to do. It ensures it has more than enough capacity to scavenge every last bit of trapped oxygen. You're helping it do its job better.
Got it. And now the most critical step, number 6. Sealing.
Immediately. You have to seal it immediately with a heat sealer. The sources are very clear. You need to work within a 30-minute window from the moment you first open that master pack. No exceptions.
And the final step, number 7.
Reseal your leftovers. Immediately put the unused absorbers back in the master bag. Press out all the air and seal it tight. Your future work depends on it.
So we've got the timing down, but the seal itself is the physical barrier. What are the tips for making sure that seal lasts for decades?
This all hinges on the quality of your bag. You have to use food-grade, thick Mylar. The sources say 5 to 7 mil thickness.
That's pretty thick.
Oh yeah, a 7 mil bag feels like a jacket, not a sandwich bag. That thickness provides a much, much better barrier against oxygen moisture over 20 years.
And when you're using the heat sealer,
Run it across the top twice. Create a double seal, that's your insurance against any tiny pinholes or gaps. And then label everything. Contents, OA size you used, and the date. You'll thank yourself later.
and how do you know you did it all right? The final confirmation.
You'll see it. Within 24 to 48 hours, a properly sealed bag will have a vacuum effect. It'll shrink and look tight against the contents. That's the visual proof that the absorber did its job. If you don't see that, you probably got a leak.
Okay, let's hit a couple of common questions people probably have. First, can you use too much? If I put a 1,000 cc packet in a bag that only needed 500 cc, is that bad?
It won't harm the food, no, but you're just wasting resources. It's unnecessary spending. Stick to the charts.
Right. And the other big one, moisture. We've talked all about oxygen. What about silica gel versus oxygen absorbers?
They do 2 completely different jobs. They're complementary, not interchangeable.
How so?
Oxygen absorbers, they fight things that need oxygen to grow mold. Insects, bacteria. They stop color and taste changes.
And silica gel.
Silica gel is a desiccant. It just absorbs moisture. It stops things from getting soggy or clumping up.
So for super dry things like wheat, the OA is enough. But
So for something like, say, dehydrated fruit or even some spices where you want to prevent both oxidation and sogginess, the sources say you should absolutely use both packets in the same bag. You get total protection.
So what does this all mean? It seems like the secret to getting that multi-decade shelf life isn't just buying the right gear. It's about, intimately understanding that CC capacity and, crucially, adjusting it for the density of the food, the whole marbles versus popcorn idea.
Yeah.
That calculation is the critical first step.
It is. We spent a lot of time on that calculation, and for good reason. It's the math that makes the whole thing possible. But when you really think about it, that the food quality can be preserved for 5, 10, even 25 years. And it all relies on the physical integrity of that one thin barrier. It raises a question.
Which is?
If the success of decades of storage all comes down to that single point of closure, how much more critical is the method and the quality of that final heat-applied double seal than the initial size calculation? Because a perfect calculation means absolutely nothing if that seal fails in year 5. That's the real point of failure you have to protect against. That's something to keep in mind.